David Goggins.
Who never picked me up, who never picked me up when I fell. She taught me how to get up when I was knocked down. I thank my uncle for always being there for me. And I thank all of you out here who fought in these wars. You have no idea how big of a deal this is to me. I was not always this strong guy you see. I went through a lot of hard times in my life to get here today. And a story I'll tell you with real quick. I tried once to get in the Air Force to be an Air Force pararescueman. And I quit for fear of the water. I was 175 pounds. I left the Air Force 4 years later at 300 pounds. I went from 175 to 300 pounds. There's a long story in there on how that came to be. But I sat around and read a book on the Medal of Honor. And those guys, all I wanted to be was an uncommon man. In my whole life, I was not that. Much worse than that. I read stories about men like you, Doc, who had the courage to jump on grenades and stuff like that. So I came home one day from working at a job called Ecolab where I sprayed for cockroaches. Made $1,000 a month, weighing 300 pounds. And I got home and I watched a show on Discovery Channel of guys carrying boats and logs, Navy SEAL training. And I decided to make a change in my life. And I called the recruiter up and he asked me these questions. He had to meet a certain age, like a certain height and weight limit. I was 6'1" and 300 pounds. He laughed at me. 7 other recruiters laughed at me. One recruiter finally said, "Come on in, I'm too busy to talk to you on the phone." He didn't know how much I weighed. I walked in the recruiter's office and he looked at me and he said, "You're fat and you're black." I said I want to be a Navy SEAL. I didn't know there'd only been 35 African-American Navy SEALs at that time in over 70 years.
I call myself fat because I was fat. And people don't want to do that. They want to say, "Oh, don't call yourself fat. Don't call yourself dumb." If you're not real and raw with who you are, nothing's going to change. In this nice new world that we live in, we want to hear, "You're just a little big." No, man, you might be fat.
He said I basically had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months because of my age. I was getting too old. I came back 3 months later, 106 pounds lighter. I spent 18 months going through BUDS, which is a 6-month program. Went through 3 hell weeks. That is where I met Marcus Luttrell, Danny Dietz, Michael Murphy, another Medal of Honor winner. I went through hell week with all these guys, real heroes. I am not a hero. I served with real heroes. And from there, I went on to raise over $2 million for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. But
When you put yourself in hell, that's the only time you can figure out how the fuck to get through that motherfucker. You can't read somebody else's book about some theory on how to do shit. Some guy who sat up in a nice warm office and wrote some book with a nice cup of coffee in the fucking hand. No, I want to see that guy who immersed himself in fucking hell. And he thought about quitting and leaving and his wife and his kids. And why am I here? Is it worth it? All this crazy shit. And still said and found out a way to get through it. The reason why we go back to old habits is because our goals are too lofty. We're not achieving our goals fast enough. So what happens is, you know what? Oh man, we're very impatient nowadays. For me, it was good. I didn't have a phone. I was out of this world by myself. It was a race against David Goggins. It wasn't a race against, God, I don't look good for this person or that person. It was me. I got to change myself. So for me, if I lost 5 pounds in a week, I got a feeling. I allowed myself to feel proud of that. I didn't look at, I got to lose 106 pounds. I'm like, man, I went from 297, now I'm 292. In 1 week, man, I'm killing it. We're not proud of ourselves for the small accomplishments. What we need is we need this monstrosity of a thing to happen and say, I did it. Nah. You have to go into those dark chambers that we often shut off, and you gotta open them up. You gotta open up and fight that fucking demon, get in there, talk to that motherfucker and say, what's up? And we all like to take this 4-lane highway, the easy highway. It has fucking signs, it has restaurants. We all love that 4-lane highway. We always step over the shovel. And all I did was I picked up that fucking shovel, and that shovel, I made my own path. And you may have big boulders and shit. They may be getting 200 miles up the road faster than you. But going through this path of life, this journey over here that you make yourself, that's incredibly difficult. When it comes out the other end of that motherfucker, is some glorious shit that you can't even explain to people. There's a process that you have to go through, and patience is the process. And if you don't have patience, after a week, I haven't lost 30 pounds, man, I'm done. I'm over it. So that's what I found out with people, man. They're not patient enough to realize and to enjoy the moment, not live in it, just enjoy it. There's no finish line in life, but enjoy that moment. Roger that, man, I lost 5. Let me go 10 next week. So that's the whole thing about it. That's how people lose it. What do you want in your life? We have so much influence coming at us that we are so lost. We don't know what we want to do because we don't spend enough time with ourselves. You have to learn to shut off a phone and just think about you, where I want to be, where do I see myself tomorrow, the next year from that. And it takes a lot of self-discipline to be able to do that nowadays, because you want to be so attached to everything. You want to be so caught up with the world. The world's moving too fast.
I have the most respect I can possibly muster up for all of you in this room. I know what it takes to be a combat soldier, and I used to look for courage. I thought courage was a man who won the Medal of Honor. It is. But courage is a man who's going to put those boots on every single day of his life to go out there and fight for this country when nobody even knows what the hell they're doing or where the hell they're at. You do it for the man beside you. Thank you.
What does a morning look like for you at the moment? Have you got a routine of some kind?
Yes, I run every single morning. So that's
what time are you up? When are you waking up?
I'm up about 5:30. So every morning starts with a run. And that's because that's the one thing I hate to do with anything in the world. So that's like my cup of coffee. And I'm all about armoring yourself. So the second you leave your house, and the second you open your phone, the second you do any of that, you are now letting in poison and cancer. So I make sure a lot of things you can't avoid. So as I get up, I start to armor plate my mind and body. Like a person's going to war, you put your body armor on. That's what I'm doing on that run. I'm waking up and I'm giving myself all this armor. So when I come out in the world, and I look at that phone, I'm ready. I'm not waking up late, I'm not rushing around, I'm not disorganized. Because I know I'm gonna get hit in the mouth. There's an art to getting hit in the mouth.
You are a guy that, for a lot of people, you sort of embody the idea of hardening your mind and figuring out a way to do things that most people think are impossible. You've sort of become that guy. How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point. We surround ourselves around people that make us feel great. They tell us what we want to hear. The second we put ourselves amongst the uncommon people, we don't like that feeling. That challenging feeling of that person waking up at 3:30 in the morning and say, hey, put your shit on, we're going for a run. We like that person who says, hey, you know, man, I don't feel good today, man. And they say, oh, it's okay, brother. We don't want that motherfuckers like this. Hey, man, no, bro, get your shit on, man. Stop being a punk. It's all about the quitting mind. So what's the quitting mind? So let's say it's day one of a job interview. We all know what it feels like. You have your clothes laid out. My dad beat the shit out of me when I was growing up. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big-time pimp, big-time hustler. Anything bad about a person, he was that kind of guy. Beat the shit out of me, beat the shit out, out of my mom. There was an incident one time when my mom got knocked out on top of the stairs. They dragged me down the stairs by her hair. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this fucking voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you gotta get up and do something. I didn't want to do shit. It's an endless process. Endless process. Every day you're having to constantly battle. It's not as bad as it used to be by any means, but that person's still there. You have to continue to always challenge yourself every day. A lot of us don't believe that we can achieve the impossible. I discovered something that some people have, but they don't even fucking know. All of us have it. I have a learning disability. Okay, but I'm catching up with everybody. I figured that out. I figured out all these negative things in my life that were keeping me in this hole. I'm like, I gotta tell people, man, that, hang on a second, man. You can achieve the absolute impossible. You don't need great parents. You don't need like a private school. You don't need to have this humongous GPA and all this other shit. What you need is the one thing I talked about in my book, which is straight up brutal work ethic. You have to be willing to outwork everybody in the world. And that's the hard part. That's the hard part. This isn't like some 5-step process where you can do these 5 fucking steps. You're gonna end up with this magical world. No, I'm basically teaching you how to callous over your victim's mentality. I'm teaching you how to, like I did 67,000 pull-ups in training for the pull-up record. I was seriously callousing my hands to protect them. What I'm trying to do with people is teach them how to find more themselves to where they empower themselves. I'm all about the underdog. And I have a big time learning disability because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So when I went to school, my learning disability, I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. So all the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, it just got worse and worse and worse. And it shit haunted me. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it. And that is why these things are important. You have to wake up and you have to give yourself belief. You have to give yourself confidence. So it starts with that run. So after the run, I come home, I eat something small.
How long's the run typically at the moment?
Nowhere under 12 miles. So 12 miles is the minimum.
And what are you getting that done in? How long?
It depends. Right now I'm running heart rate. So I'm running like 8:15s, 8:30s, because I'm retraining right now.
What's that? Is that zone 2 for you?
Zone 2.
Yep. Because
of the leg surgery I had. So I'm going back, starting from scratch. So anywhere from about 1:30 to 2 hours, I run every day. So
you're fasted on the morning?
Yes.
Up, straight out?
Straight out.
90 minutes to 2 hours of running, back,
yep. Eat, and I'm in the gym. So, and then after that, to whatever's on the plan for the day. That's how that works every day. From the age of 19 to the age of 22, I gained 125 pounds. I went from 175 to almost 300. 297 was my heaviest. And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. What changed, I watched this Discovery Channel show, Class 224.
Class 224.
You get treated like the absolute lowest form on earth, and you really got to find it within yourself to say, you know I can do it. I know I can finish it. I know I can do anything they throw at me. That's where it builds character. You find out if you got it in yourself.
I watched the show, and it made me reflect big time on the piece of shit that I am, and I'm exactly what people said I was going to be. I was watching these guys going through Hell Week.
Hell Week, the most dreaded week of buds. It's the ultimate test of one's physical and mental motivation. A round-the-clock regimen of intensive physical training and harassment, with as little as 4 hours of sleep during the entire week.
And these guys ringing the bell, quitting, dropping their helmet down, rolling out. A lot of guys just leaving. And it made me reflect on my fears, my insecurities. And I saw real men, what I thought were real men who were staying, who were overcoming adversity, who were overcoming all these different things that I had blamed so many fucking people in my life, my dad, my mom for not being there, my learning disability, my skin color. I had to man up, and I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fucking fear I have. So I started calling recruiters up. I said, I'm gonna go be a fucking Navy SEAL. There's a weight and height limit to get in the military. And I was 6'1" and 297. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up, and he said, hey, come on in. He saw me, put me through the weight standard, all this other stuff, and to get into the class I had to get into, I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, fuck that, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab, where he sprayed for cockroaches. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life. If anybody knows my life story, and I try to give you just a snippet of it, to get through where I'm at now, there's nothing but pride I have for myself that I can't really show people. Because I have this face that they see, like, are you happy? What's wrong with you? You're missing the story, man. Am I happy? What the fuck do you think? Don't misunderstand the passion in which I speak for not being intensely happy. But I'm not done. No, I have a lot more shit to do. A lot more shit to do.